Welcome back. To shed more light on COP27 taking place in Egypt in the Sharm el-Sheikh city, the Green City, we have the pleasure to have this phone with Mr. Amr Abdel Rahman, journalist and analyst. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to you, and hello to the dear viewers.
Thank you, sir. Well, Mr. Abdel Rahman, the inaugural session today and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's speech before the session and the important of the points that he pointed out during his speech. Could you give us your insight concerning the important points that the President have mentioned?
Well, Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi today has declared too many important points. He tackled on the very important responsibility for the leaders of the world to gather together and work together to achieve the points and the main goals of this international summit. We're talking about saving human lives. We're talking about saving our planet we're living on. We're talking about how serious the crisis of the atmosphere that we are facing together. We need to work on together to face the activities and some unusual activities are being accomplished or managed by some states, some powers in the world. We need to stand together to save our own planet. We need to save the people. We need to reduce the temperature of this ground. We need to know that we are together facing one threat. We have mentioned this clearly in the last summit in Scotland, and we are talking about it right now, and we are leading the force, leading the efforts all together by clear demand that we should stand together against those threats and against the powers behind those threats. We need to know that we are facing the danger together.
Yes.
We need to know that people and the leaders should act as one towards those challenges.
Yes, so Mr. Abdel Rahman, also in President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's speech, he spoke about the planet is, or the whole world is suffering from the climate change, and that the whole countries should never stop and this would never stop without the intervention and the cooperation of the whole countries putting hand in hand. And also he wished a good solutions or good outcome from this conference, the COP27.
Well, of course, we are talking about the way of life that we are facing. Internationally, I'm talking. Yesterday, Mr. Sameh Shukri, Minister of Foreign Affairs, he tackled on a very important point here. The way that the humanity have lived since the beginning of the industrial revolution, we're talking about 300 or 400 years from now, is not a sustainable way of living. And it's not the way to preserve life on this earth. The Western way, what they call it, the Western civilization, has damaged the civilization's climate, has severely made our life even worse. We're talking about climate changes. We're talking about changes that we have never witnessed in thousands of years. We're talking thousands of years. Those change of climate that happened in the past 100 years, and especially in the last half century, hasn't happened on Earth since we're talking about 5,000 years ago. That means that something is not right, is being is being happening, the way that some people, some leaders talking about just the rise of the temperature is just about pollution. It's not about pollution, not just pollution. Pollution is one line. We have other lines we're talking about. We're talking about the responsibility of the greater industrial powers to know that the way they are dealing with their industries, the measures of their industries are harming the environment and harming the climate. This is the main aspect. This is the main message written on the pyramid yesterday. We're talking about we need to change the way, the sort of power. We need to know that there is something called free energy, that we can have it another way, have it the other way totally. If we use the free energy, we can reduce the temperature of this planet.
Yes. Also, Mr. Abdel Rahman, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, at the end of his speech, made a call for the stop or putting an end to the Russia-Ukraine war, saying that it's affecting the economy of the whole world, not only in Egypt. How do you see the importance of this call or the message by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi?
It was a word of a leader. It was a call of a true leader. Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is talking as a leader of one of the rare great leaders in this world, on this earth. He's calling for the war to stop. There are rights, of course, preserved for Russia. Of course, it has the right to protect its own national security, but now it's gone more beyond that. It's got more beyond than the national security of one country. We're talking about the national security of the whole world. This is the aspect Mr. President is talking about. Too many nations are now suffering, not only in Europe. We are talking in Europe, we're talking in the US, we're talking in Ukraine, we're talking in Russia, we're talking in Egypt, we're talking in the whole continent.
Yes.
We are talking about a continental threat that we also should stand together. If we really have this good intention for the good for this world, we should listen. They should listen to the call of Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. They can all sit together, and Egypt can lead this initiative to stop the war. If we can stop, if they listen to Mr. President right now, and this truly important call and a very critical time before the winter comes, and it's going to hit the most the European people, we can stop the war according to the great call of Mr. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi.
Yes, so Mr. Abdel Rahman, also the President said that it's time to take for work and to take action, because we have to start now, because to pave the way for a good environment for the coming generations and for the future of our youth and children. Actually, also the President said that the conference is held under the title Together for Implementation. So what's your comment on this?
I'm talking about these are not just words and not just lines to be said and not just a summit to be held. This is a human life we're talking about. We are talking about why we are on this ground, to preserve life. This is the main issue of this call of Mr. President and the leadership, the Egyptian leadership of this summit. We give the way that we can change the way we are living. We can to the better, and we can reduce the negative effects by we have that occurred through all those decades before. We can change our own power sources. If we can change our own power sources into a free energy sources, the one that only Egypt has first invented.
Yes.
We're talking too many too long time before we can change the world to the better. We can change our lives on this planet to the better. We can achieve the way that we were created upon this earth for.
Yes, yes. So, Mr. Abdel Rahman, the city of Sharm el-Sheikh, and also because Egypt is hosting this conference, the eyes of the whole world is attracted or is now watching on Egypt. How do you see the importance of Egypt hosting this conference, and especially held in Sharm el-Sheikh? How do you see this conference as a kind of boosting the tourism in Egypt, with Sharm el-Sheikh hotels fully booked?
Well, now Sharm el-Sheikh is expressing itself as an international city, just like any international city in the whole world that receives international summits and international events. We're talking about the greater Egypt being built. We're talking about the green measures and the green environment projects that we are talking about, a green way of life that Sharm el-Sheikh and Egypt is representing to the whole world. We are now setting an example, not just for the world, but also in our continent, in Africa, and the Middle East, and the Arabic middle lands.
Yes.
We are talking about Egypt as a symbol, as a call, as a torch of hope, and a new way of life based on civilization and cooperation between the whole nations. We're talking about tourists are pouring into Egypt right now. We are the white spot in a world filled with conflicts,
yes,
and too many wars. Egypt has tackled on this important point that we need to be a land of peace in a world filled with wars.
Yes. Yes, I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information, Mr. Amr Abdel Rahman, analyst and journalist. And ladies and gentlemen, we resume the sessions of the